This year we're seeing the fastest cohort of high school sprinters in history, and it's not even close. All conditions, we've seen 4 high school sprinters go sub 10 seconds. That's already such a wild statement. Gout, 9.99 seconds, and don't even mention his 200. Braden Williams, 9.99 and a 9.82 in a hurricane. Tate Taylor, 9.92, and Maurice Gleaton, 9.98. Although these times do have a few things in common. Obviously, they're all sub 10 or 20 seconds, timed so fast, it can get you into 99% of global championship finals. They were all ran by high schoolers, some of them not even seniors. But all of them were also ran against amateur competition. That's a really distinguishing factor. We've seen college kids run fast with sus wins on sus tracks. We've also seen historically quick times at high altitude tracks. And as much as we love to glorify times in the sport, at the end of the day, you're not truly faster than someone until you actually take them down to the start line and beat them to the finish. I'm not discrediting any of these athletes, but it's known that the pro level is an entirely different beast. There are no more easy races. Everyone running at that level was a high school or college phenom at some point. So while these high school times are phenomenal, you do have to take them with a grain of salt. But this weekend, Maurice Gleaton just changed the whole damn narrative. It's getting to that time of year where this generation's phenoms have their first taste against the real deal. And Gleaton whipped a field of Christian Coleman, Crayvon Charleston, Kendall Williams, Terrence Jones, and Jalen Slade in a windy 9.87 seconds from lane 1 in his heat. This was an absolutely baffling result to wake up to. These are all names that have been at the forefront of the sport at one point or another. Coleman, NCAA phenom and 2019 world champ. Charleston won the 2023 US Championship in front of Lyles. Kendall Williams was a world junior champion when Trayvon Bromell was a junior. And Jalen Slade was a high school phenom who went pro straight out of high school. And of course, it being a heat, there was also a final. But he got DQ'd for a false start. So we decided to run under protest and then destroyed the same guys and a few extras in 9.82. Both of these times were wind dated, but it's more about who he beat. Also, it has to be addressed, but Gleaton also talked shit to the professionals, mainly Coleman, and Coleman got heated. Shouting ensued, an altercation if you will.
Tighten up, boys! Tighten out! Tighten out, boy!
18's old enough to catch a case. You're an adult now too, bud. I don't know the real nitty gritty details, but there's not much to say about it. Athletes and spectators heckling each other and talking shit, it's nothing new to sport in general. But let's talk some numbers. Firstly, 9.87, 2.4 wind translates to a 9.97 neutral, confirming his 9.98 was the real deal, while his 9.82 with a 2.9 wind becomes a 9.95. You give Gleaton a nice legal tailwind, and he's a legitimate high 9.8 guy right now. So besides the fact he genuinely beat Olympic caliber sprinters, he ran times fast enough that would net you a spot in any championship final. Gleaton reminds me a lot of Osama Singer, who was, by technicality, the greatest high school sprinter we've ever seen, if we ignore the ban of doping. Similar times, beating a world-class field back-to-back, it's some pretty good company. But like a Singer, he's also got the physical maturity of a pro. He's built, a good height, and his race includes a solid start and finish, lacking any clear deficits. And if anything, he displayed really strong top-end speed. Undoubtedly, the races today, combined with his 9.98 and even a 10.01 earlier this year, have done a few things. He's the real deal. No matter what path he chooses after this, NCAA or pro, he's going to be in that US fastest man conversation. Maybe not now or tomorrow, but over the next few years. And out of 2025's 4 high school phenoms, he's standing at the top of the sandcastle. For now. High school Nike, Adidas and New Balance Nationals are all next week, where Taylor, Williams and Gleaton will race for the title, which would immediately change this conversation depending on who turns up. And in saying that, how fast are we going to see at these high school champs? I'm sure we've all got some wild predictions, but after the NCAAs, I'm a bit scared to say anything faster than 10 flat. And I also don't want us to get too ahead of ourselves. With each new phenom coming through the high school ranks, you learn a few things here and there. Yes, he won this race and crushed pros today, but his season is geared towards the Nike High School Nationals in a week's time. There's a good chance he's peaked for the year, which for that one reason alone, if I were him, I would have been a bit more tactful with my shit talk. Additionally, out of the guys he beat, a lot are coming back from injury, have never been the same since their phenom days, as well as they're all trying to peak for their championship in a couple months' time, that being the US Trials and the World Championship. And to steal words out of the great coach Rob, track progress isn't linear. We've seen phenoms like Tobago become the next best thing instantly, while others crash and burn, and some paddle along the waves trying to figure out how to perform at the next level consistently. It's not an easy game to win. I just wanted to get realistic for a second. I'm past my every young up-and-comer is going to be Bolt stage. But all that being said, that still doesn't take away from the disgusting potential we've been seeing this year. And I've been keeping track of some numbers, so let me spit. Here's every high schooler who's run sub 10, no matter the conditions ever. Trayvon Bramell, 2013. Matthew Bowling, 2019. Osama Singer, but banned so we don't count him. And Christian Miller in 2024. Technically, that's only 3 in the entirety of history. We've gotten more this year in the first 6 months than the rest of history. And if we take the fastest legal time, which is a 9.92 from 17-year-old Tate Taylor, ooh, you're really gonna like this stat. With that time, through history, he would have won 6 out of 19 World Athletics Championships since its inception in 1983, as well as 7 out of 15 Olympic golds since synthetic tracks were introduced in 1968. That's a track record of winning gold in 13 out of 34 global championships at 17 years old. The most recent being 2017. That's the year Justin Gatlin infamously beat Bolt to a stadium full of boos in 9.92 seconds. Just imagine a high schooler finishing in that conversation.
Justin Gatlin with a time of 9.92 seconds.
Absolute blasphemy. And yes, for those of you typing away already, realistically, this would be impossible because championship running is very different to a one-off time at a state championship. But that's just a hypothetical taste of how fast these kids are getting. Even outside of sprints, we're in an unprecedented era of youth speed. New Zealand's pride, Sam Ruth, became the youngest sub 4-minute miler ever. Jane Hedengren now owns 7 American high school records, 4 of them area under 20 records. Cooper Lutkenhaus broke a 20-something year high school record with a 1:46 800 meters. Quincy Wilson, who literally went to the Olympics last year, is still getting beat in high school. And holy shit, did you see those 13-year-old girls?
Mark in this 400-meter distance. The meet record was 53:30.
But even with all these records falling, the youth 100 meters is in a whole different stratosphere. Some of these other times would qualify you to a world champs, maybe even get you out the heats, even win in a tactical slow running year. But the sprint times are fast enough, on paper, to win the whole thing like 30% of the time. And to answer why, it's the shoes, man. These kids are growing up in super spikes. They have adapted super tendons. I actually don't even think that's a joke. It's going to be really interesting to see how all these careers play out. An early peak tends to mean an early decline. Sorry to ramble about just youth sprinting for like the 30th time. And a full weekly recap video is coming in probably a couple days. See you next time.